This is a summation of our professional staff meeting, which was held last Thursday, and it was held as a school. We covered strategy, cycles, and data. Here's where we are with the strategy. It's currently in progress, and these are described as our strategic pillars. There are 4 of them. The first describes a student experience that is engaging, something that is a little less clunky for our students. That would involve enrollment, that would involve advising, that would involve graduating and transfer. We're hoping to improve all of our systems in that area. The second is really aimed at the community, trying to make sure that everybody in the Lehigh Valley and beyond knows that it makes sense to come to NCC and knows what our programs are. That's an ambitious goal. The third one is to improve the quality of our own teaching and make sure that what we do is linked to things that students hope to attain, both knowledge, usefulness to the community, and we can also say changing their earning strategy. So we hope to do all 3 things: make them better citizens, make them more settled, and make them more competent in the world. And then last but not least, we want to have a community ourselves that is a good place to work. And we want to make sure that what we're doing makes our own lives well worth enjoying, I guess you could say it that way. So I just want to note that metaphorically speaking, pillars are not directional. You really want them to go up and down. But we are in fact moving forward with our ideas, and we are moving forward with the language for strategy and kind of developing our tactics. So I wanted to make sure that you and your good ideas, many of which I read over the summer, get included in the strategy that we're doing. So I'd like to urge you to send those good ideas to either Mark Singer or myself, or to the strategy team, which includes Brian Gardner and Dustin Briggs. And I want to give a shout out to Brian Allnut, who already sent some things in. Thank you, Brian. I want to mention that we live by cycles at a college, right? So there's always the annual self-evaluation, there's the biannual observation, there's the advising season, there's a scheduling season, there's an annual program report, and then there's the initial appointment, promotion, and tenure cycles. And most of these cycles take tremendous energy inputs. In some ways, they're a sink of energy. You can't get back the 8 or 10 hours you put into the annual evaluation. Maybe you get them back when promotion or tenure come up. Most immediately, you could get them back in increased efficiency. And that's really what I'm hoping for, is that each of our cycles helps us with increased efficiency or with increased clarity on what we're trying to do. And for instance, I'll say that one of the reasons that faculty doing peer evaluations with each other and with adjuncts is helpful in the cycle is because that energy is pretty much immediately shared. We get better ideas from each other. To take another example, building the schedule and doing advising are really labor-intensive, very student-focused. It takes a lot of work to capture the outputs, to figure out what are the fill rates, what are the pass rates. This kind of work is iterative. And it's really taking us a while to figure out how to capitalize on all the good work that goes in and make sure that that good work comes out the other side. So what I want to make sure is that if you have thoughts about how to make our processes or what we're doing more efficient, please let me know. We're working on that internally, but I'm always happy to take some good ideas about how we can improve what we're doing to serve each other and to serve our students. That I've added to our cycles that I think is going to help us all, and that is the annual program report. There are 3 parts to the annual program report. There's enrollment, there's student success, and there's transfer and graduation. So I'm hoping that we can take a closer look at who's coming in and how many people are in. What do they look like? That will help us do a better job with outreach. I'd like for us to take, and I've given that data to you this year. I'd also like for us to take a closer look at how students are doing when they're with us. This is our bread and butter. How are they doing in our courses? What are they learning? This is where we really want to spend the most energy trying to figure out what makes each program unique, what kinds of experiences are most worthwhile for students, and how they're doing in our courses. And then last but not least, I'd like for us to think about where are they going? What kind of jobs are they getting on the other side? Are they doing well as they're hunting for jobs or not? So, looking at the landscape beyond us, both for transfer and for jobs. So these are the things that I think we should do annually, because I think the landscape for work and for transfer is changing a little more rapidly than it used to. So I believe we need to look at this on an annual basis. And I want to thank those of you who turned in your annual reports. I really appreciate that. That's helping me to try to do a better job of steering the school. Talk about data. When we moved to Workday, we started to get fewer of these short, focused, static, high-level reports. And we started to get access to what I'll call lumps of data that are at the mid-range, and they're spanning new regions of time. It's a kind of classic technological moment, the unintended, unanticipated consequence of having a new technology or a new system. Technology can give you an amazing free lunch. It can make your life easier. You can, for instance, have your life by the stream while the mill does your work. In fact, that's Monocacy Park, and that's the Ilex Mill. Anyway, there can be unanticipated consequences of having new technology. You can leap up in surprised horror from your lunch because you've just set the river on fire. And in case you think I'm kidding, in the 19th and 20th century, the Cuyahoga River was set on fire 10 separate times. To give you a little less dramatic example, we have, for instance, the ability to look at pass rates for specific classes and specific programs. That's data we didn't really have access to before. We do now. And we took time to compile all the pass rates and key programs and courses. That's what informed those program reports. But something we didn't anticipate is because we used to have really two modalities, in person and online, and the aggregates really didn't pinpoint any specific classes. Now that's not true. We have a lot of different modalities, and the aggregates really don't allow us to kind of meld everything together. Now specific classes are popping out, and that's given us a little bit of pause. So we're trying to think carefully about how to use data well. And I think that's worth our time and our energy to think carefully about how to use data well. So we are training ourselves. We're hoping to include some faculty in that training so that we think through what we're doing and we have the intended consequences and not the unintended consequences. Data, for me, makes this point. We have a new system, so we have a new world. And to take the river analogy, you can't dip into the same stream twice, even if the river's on fire. So we're not going to be able to replicate the data, the reports, the way we thought about things in the past. The new system doesn't do what the old system did. So we're going to be working on that and working on that together with you. All right, thanks very much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.